Hey everybody, it's Katie. I am pulling out my journal today. I wanted to revisit this page because I noticed that there's a lot more opportunity here to kind of just bring up the colors and the vibrancy a little bit. I also feel like the text gets a little bit lost in here. And like I said, it just feels like there's some opportunity to enhance it a bit. And this is something I will do often where I'll get my main journal components out, the text, perhaps some photos, and of course my layers and all of that. And then sometimes I just want to come back and revisit them, just make them a little more vibrant. So that's just something I'm doing here. It's a really nice practice actually, because instead of having to start from scratch, you have your layers going for you and the main components of your journal page, and then you're just going back and adding more details. There's a technique that I like to use. I just call it framing my page, where I will take, whether it's markers or pieces of paper, and I just like to go around the edge of my journal page and create kind of a frame. And what this does is not only makes it visually appealing, it kind of brings your eyes to more of the center of the page and where the text is. So I just find this a really fun practice. It's also a great way to incorporate some other textures and colors into your page. The other thing that's great about it is because, at least for me, I tend to be pretty abstract and messy with my work, as you can see here. The frame adds a little bit of structure to the outside of the journal, which kind of makes the overall vibe just a little more put together. So I'm using a lot of my favorites here: Posca pens, some paints. I have some miscellaneous paper, some post-it notes that I put down here. And I'm just kind of working around the edges here. And you can already see just with that line of framing on the top, it just kind of draws your eye around the page just a little bit more. So I have been busy putting the final details on my new course, which I am so excited about. I teach methods of creating an unbound journal, and you walk away with all the tools and techniques you need to create your own unbound journal. The wait list is out there, and I'll be opening that up very, very, very soon. Then it'll become live in a couple weeks. And yeah, it's going to be so fun. I'm so excited how it's coming together, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. All right, so here I am now working around the text, again, just to kind of create a little bit of a framing around it. I'm using some brighter colors just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. These neon paints that I use all the time are great for this. They are pretty transparent, so a lot of the colors and textures underneath still pop through, which is nice, but you still get the vibrancy of the fluorescent colors, which is great. And then bringing in my big chunky black Posca pen here. This too, you'd be surprised how much just adding some black color to your pieces can make everything else pop. And as usual, you know, I could do this forever. I could keep adding layers and adding layers because it's just so fun to do, and you really can't mess this up. So take it as far as you'd like. But like I said earlier, I do find just revisiting some old journal pages and finding some space to add some more details, make it even more colorful. It's always just kind of a fun practice. All right, now I am cutting some paper to do the same kind of method of creating that border around my page. It's just such an easy technique to use. These watercolor journals that I pull out all the time have really been great. They really hold up a lot of layers. As you can see, there's a lot of layers on this journal page, and each page is very much similar to this. So they've been great, and I'll include a link for these as well. They're also handy when you're on the road or traveling. They're easy to bring with, and they come in many different sizes, which is nice. And it's sometimes nice to create the illusion that even though these are two different pages, you know, it's a spread, I'm kind of making it look like it's one solid page. And one way to do that is by adding collage or paints that overlap the binding in the middle. So it's coming a little bit more alive now, you can see. I would love to know a little bit more about your journal practice. What kind of journaling do you do? What are some techniques that you enjoy? Or is there anywhere you find that you could use some help, or you have some questions? Love to hear about that. Adding the border on the outside also just creates another almost like a visual trick that there's even more layers than there is on these pages, which is what I'm always going for. I really like the idea of many, many, many layers built up. So working on the edges can really do that for you. It feels like there's a lot going on, but at the same time, it's legible and it's fun to look at. So just going over some of these bright colors, adding a little more pink. I'm liking how this is coming along. And like I said, this is something that you could just go on and on with this. I could bring this out another day and add even more layers, and perhaps I will. We'll see. But it's coming together, and I'll show you a quick shot of the before journal here. Just encouraging you to, you know, go back and go over some of your work sometimes if that feels good for you. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.